So this is a rule petition that we received in May from Cameron Stewart of Lacey, Washington. He has submitted a petition for adoption of a new rule requiring establishments licensed to sell pull tabs to treat all customers with consistency and in a timely manner. He believes that he's been treated with less respect and often has to wait for long stretches for staff to sell him pull tabs, and he thinks this treatment is unfair. And staff has carefully considered the issues, and staff has concerns that the petition raises issues that do not appear to be related to the public policies in RCW 946-010 of keeping the criminal element out of gambling and ensuring that gambling is legal and honest. Instead, the petition appears to deal with customer service issues, which are not the primary focus of the Gambling Act. So based on these facts, it's not clear that it is necessary for the commission to explore rulemaking on this topic. Staff, under the requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act, commission must take action within 60 days of receiving the petition. The petitioner was kind enough to give us a little bit of a leeway because we didn't have a meeting until July. So your options now are to initiate rulemaking proceedings for further discussion, or to deny the petition and stating the reasons for the denial, and specifically addressing the concerns stated in the petition or indicating alternative means by which the agency will address the concerns. The petitioner, Mr. Stewart, is here in the audience. And I don't know if you have any questions of me.
Any questions for Lisa?
Just out of curiosity, Madam Chair, Lisa, we don't deal with customer service issues at the Gambling Commission, but I'm just curious, do you have any idea where this gentleman might receive the attention that he needs to address this matter? Who should he go to? Do you have any idea?
So it depends on what the complaint is. You know, there are some rules. If it's house rules in regards to a gambling activity, there are some things that are outlined in our rules. So it's hard to just say if it's customer service in terms of how the entity is treating them. I mean, we haven't heard from the petitioner who's here, and maybe it might be best to answer that question after we hear from the petitioner. That might give us a little bit more guidance.
Mr. Stewart, you're here. Do you want to come say? Can I go up with you? Yes, of course. You can come up here and just state your name for the record, and then you can tell us a little bit about what's going on. I think we usually try to cap things for today at about 5 minutes for a comment. And for all comments. Okay.
So I'm Cameron Stewart.
And I'm Jeanette Lyles, partners.
So thank you guys for your time. So we just have a problem. Sometimes we just want to come in and play pool tab. Who am I talking to?
Everybody.
And we're treated as just the bottom of the pool. Like, we're regulars at a lot of places, and these people know this when we come in there. So they know we just want to play pull tabs, and we'll end up, in there for, over an hour when we just wanted to come in, for a few minutes because we got other things to do, and they're not even busy, but yet they'll ignore us until they have absolutely nothing else to do. And then you see a bunch of employees standing around. If I could pull my own pull tabs, I would, but they limit it to one person, and we have to sit and wait, and that person's frustrated because they're running drinks, food, they're short staffing, keeping only one person because they want to get all the tips. So the establishments, not fully employing their bars or restaurants. It's just frustrating. I got kicked out of a bar because I was waiting for almost 40 minutes. Nobody acknowledged me. But because the lady was frustrated with table service, as soon as I brought it up to her, she got an attitude with me. It's just a problem. It's a big problem. They have a happy hour. have, you know, there's been times where I'd get there, the happy hour would be over at 7 o'clock. I can get there at 6:15 and they'll ignore me up until 7, and you can't play. No happy hour.
So our primary concern is that as patrons, oftentimes if we're not going there to eat or to have a drink, they tend to put our requests to the side so they can take orders, you know, that we've been told is food first and other things like that with the other customers. And so we're kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And you know, the whole point of playing pull tabs is you want to win, right? And if you're waiting that long, but you see other people are getting into the same bowl you want to play, and then they end up winning. So it's kind of, you know, people are kind of cutting in line, so to speak, with who's getting pulled for pull tabs.
So we're looking for consistency. You know, when we go into a place, you know, with the intent to play, we know what to expect. But everybody's on such different levels to where you get something different every place that you go.
Now, for example, some waitresses on the bar side cannot pull tabs, and we don't know if that's an in-house policy. They said only the bartender can pull tabs. Well, the bartender's also taking their orders at the bar itself. So the bartender is making drinks, having to take orders, then having to pull tabs. Meanwhile, you may have a server who's not doing anything who could pull tabs. So we don't know where that policy is coming from, if it's an in-house but it's not consistent. You know, we recognize, we see that they are lacking staff to fulfill a business need. And unfortunately, as customers, we feel that.
And it's frustrating because people come in there, you know, and they have dinner and a few drinks. That's fine. What are you spending? $70? Here I am spending $300
Oh, yeah.
and having drinks.
Pull tabs are not cheap.
Why?
Anyone's play pull tabs.
Yeah,
They're not
so
cheap.
why should I be treated any differently? Why should I be last? Why, when I'm waiting for pull tabs, you know, and then somebody else comes through the door and they want to eat, they get served before me. When I've been sitting here waiting, I got other stuff to do too, you know? So it's frustrating. I've seen a lot of fights. I know it makes me mad. And a lot of these bartenders, I don't know if it's, you know, their employees or whatever, but they feel like they could talk to customers a certain way because they're behind that counter and they have that right to kick you out, 86, whatever they call it. And I was a victim to that at a bar that I was going to for over 16 years over pull tabs. And I'm just waiting for pull tabs. So I think that they should start getting fined. Now, if you guys need a position, I'll start playing pull tabs for the people. And I will go in there, every bar, and I'll write you guys a full report. I'll sit in there for 30 minutes. I think that every 10 to 15 minutes, they should have a little switch with a little light. So everybody in there knows when that switch is on, they're pulling pull tabs. At least they're just focusing on pull tabs. Because when people go out to eat, you know, it's okay if they have to wait a few minutes before their food comes. They plan to go out and relax and have dinner. If I'm just popping in just to have some pull tabs because I got an appointment or something, you know, I'd like to get service as soon as possible, not above them if they were here first.
Have you guys tried to talk to the management of any of these establishments?
They're not going to do nothing. It's their bar.
Yeah, the timing of it seems to be off too, because it's always either they're not there or they're just
They
preoccupied.
don't care. They don't know me. They don't care. They're not going to listen to somebody who, you know, has a complaint about their establishment. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But I think if we start finding them, if they don't, you know, stay consistent, then they'll start treating us a little better.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, there's a lot I'd like to say, but I don't want to bore you guys.
Thank you.
So, In terms of service, we have no rules that require certain levels of service. There are no rules at this point.
What she say?
And so at this point, other than, I don't know if this qualifies as a consumer protection issue. I'm at a loss of where else to refer.
Yeah. And anyone have any comments from the commission?
I just did.
So, yeah, Mr. Stewart, I appreciate you coming here before us and describing the what seemed like just horrible customer service situations. But it's never been in our realm to determine, or to, make somebody run their business in a particular way as far as like who gets served when, whether they have good customer service or bad customer service. Our rule structures are around fairness of play, of like making sure the games work the way they're supposed to, that the operators are, buying from who they're supposed to. And but within kind of that threshold, the market, from what, the market's supposed to take care of that. So if people are truly that poor at running an establishment, I don't know how they keep the doors open, because if they're being that way with you, they're probably being that way with other people, which is super unfortunate, but not something that I think that we can regulate. So, yeah, if you want to come back up, I guess you could, if you have a comment on that, because I'd like for you to be able to get some satisfaction. I just don't think that we can craft a rule that does that.
So I don't think it's just customer service. And I don't want to be, there's a lot of people, I've seen fights over this stuff. I just feel if they can have, if they can deal with you guys, with the commission, and actually have pull tabs, then why can't you have a say on how it's ran in their establishment? They have your product in their building.
Not necessarily our products. We run through a statutory scheme that we have where we have to create rules around that. And then they get their product from elsewhere, right? So we're just here to create laws to ensure that people aren't cheating, generally speaking, or that, gambling is safe and fair. We don't generally get involved in the day-to-day operations.
Well, it's not fair if you're trying to play and one establishment lets multiple players play in the same bowl, and you have a lot that will allow you to reserve a bowl for 10 days. Some won't let you do it. Well, what's fair? Fair to who? We're the ones out there playing.
Chair, the point of order, I believe we have an item on the agenda.
This is on the agenda.
I understand. Just checking what the next step is procedurally, that's all.
Oh, okay. I think Tina was getting ready to say something.
Yes.
So, thank you, Chair. So if there is a, if there is a violation of the house rules, then, and you indicated they're not, some can hold and some can't, that's one of the few places that licensees have the option to decide whether they're going to allow that or not. So that should, all that information in terms of who, if they do allow reserving bowls, all that should be in their house rules. If there's a violation of their house rules, then yes, please contact us, submit a complaint.
Well, I've seen that before. I've seen it to where they didn't even mark off the winners.
Those are things for you to submit. And depends on where you're playing. If you're playing in this area, so I'll give you my card and then we can converse offline as to who would be the best point of contact or how to be submitting those complaints.
So this was for nothing?
Well, we'll go ahead and try to get, so the commissioners have not made a decision yet in terms of your rule petition. The pull tabs are authorized by the legislature for established businesses to stimulate their food and beverage. So if they don't have food and beverage, then they cannot have gambling. So that is supposed to be their primary activity in terms of legislative intent, or one of their activities in terms of legislative intent. But in terms of customer service, we're not like the lottery. The pull tabs are not our product, unlike the lottery where that is a state of Washington product.
That's just weird to me. If I go into an establishment, it's not busy, why am I sitting there for 20, 30 minutes before somebody comes to me and pulls some pull tabs when I see them standing around?
That I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of customer service, what you maybe, what you're experiencing. In terms of where do we have the regulatory authority to pursue, that's beyond what we can do.
So we can't send somebody in there like myself? I'll sit in there for 30 minutes. If they're not pulling, at least in 10, 15 minutes, I can write you guys a full report. What establishment, who was working, what time, and I won't even play pull tabs. I'll quit pull tabs forever.
And so the issue is we have no criminal or administrative or even civil issue to cite to as a violation. They're not required, under the Gambling Act, they are not required to serve you within a certain period of time.
So we can't change the law?
The market is supposed to take care of that. I mean, I wouldn't go back to a place like that.
Well, there's so many of them that are like that. And I like doing that. And you say it's supposed to take care of it. How long has this been going on? When's it going to take care of it?
Well, I guess your other option would be to contact your legislator and have them pursue legislative action that would put it in the Gambling Act that we could
I
require.
thought that's what I was doing. All this time, all this stuff I was filling out and talking with.
So the legislators in your area, for example, we have Senator Conway here today. He's an ex officio, but he cannot, I don't know if he is in your area, but you would reach out to a senator or representative in your area to change the law. You are here seeking a rule change, which is, first we have to have the statutory authority to change the rule. And the Gambling Act, RCW 946, we're not seeing that the commission has that authority to allow them, the legislature has not given them the authority to establish rules that you are seeking. So you would have to start at the legislative area level to change the law to either, go ahead and take care of the issue at hand, or to give the Gambling Commission the authority to address the issue at hand.
Have you guys seen a lot of these, a lot of people complaining about the same stuff? I can't be the only one.
Well, at this level, you are. Now, I don't know, because we're able to take complaints through other areas that don't rise to the commission level. So I can't answer that question internally if there are other complaints in that regard.
All right, what do we do next?
So,
Oh,
if
thank
that
you
is
for your
all
time.
for public
Yeah.
comment, then I can meet with you off.
Well,
Chair Levy.
Senator Conway, you're muted.
So I'm trying to get unmuted here and they're not.
There you
letting
go.
me.
We got you now.
When a facility decides to run a pull tab game, do they have to establish some rules in terms of how they're going to operate? That's all I guess I'm asking here.
Somebody say yes.
What was that, Senator? Sorry, can you?
I'm asking the director here, the commission, that when a licensee applies for a pull tab operation, do they have to establish some rules under which they operate?
So they can establish house rules, yes.
And are they required to do house rules?
I don't have my rules manual. I have to take a look. Are they required?
Then they're only
And they don't.
required if they do decide to reserve games. If they decide not to reserve games in-house, they just follow the administrative rules.
Right. Okay, so I was getting information from Special Agent Supervisor Tony Hughes from the regulatory unit. So there are WAC Chapter 230.14 allows, there are house rules that can be posted, and if only in certain circumstances really do they need to have those house rules. And that would be if there were going to be allowing the reservation of a pull tab game. And I believe also for progressive jack or progressive pull tabs.
There's no progressive pull tab games in the state, it's carryovers, and then there's happy hour games.
And happy hour games. And so there's only certain circumstances in which a pull tab licensee would have to have house rules.
Okay, that's that you had mentioned that earlier, and I was curious about that. Presumably you could not discriminate against a player. Is that correct?
Well, that is not in our WAC and RCW.
So I'm not have probably played pull tabs very little, but I'm just curious if I think the issue here of I think the petitioner has raised an issue of being ignored because pull tab is not a priority of the business, and I can understand why that would not be anything that we should be concerned about. But if there was discriminatory activity going on, that they only allowed certain kind of people or certain people to play the pull tab game, I assume that would approach some kind of issue of legality, I guess. And I'm not, I just raised that issue because you had mentioned there were house rules. So thank you.
And Senator, if this is AAG Suzanne Becker, if you're referring to like discrimination based upon, say, protected classes, all right, by public service and other sort of public accommodations, that would actually be the Human Rights Commission would be the agency to see for any concerns on that front.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further comments from the commission? Any public comments? Otherwise? Nope, nothing there. All right, we have a motion.
Sure, I will do it. I move to deny the petition in writing stating our rationale laid out by staff and this discussion. So that's it. So I move to deny the petition in writing.
Seconded.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Anyone?
And Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
Do we need to state our reason for denial? If so, I would like to add that the reason why is because the Gambling Commission is not authorized to address customer service issues.
Okay. So are we amending?
I'll accept that as part of the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.